Me well. Maybe
Yes, Professor. Good evening.
Yes, sir. So clear.
Okay. Still we are talking about the third wave, or the third chapter, or sorry, the third part of the novel. And last week or the previous lecture, we talked about the truth. We know the truth has been revealed about the robbery by Stephen, and Stephen could easily or could announce his innocence in front of the people around him. Of course, this is before his death, and he called for Mr. Bounderby to ask him about Tom, about his son Tom, and he also told him that if you want to get the truth, if you want to know who robbed the bank, you must ask Tom. You must ask your son Tom. And this is the truth, and this is the Stephen's announcing of his innocence. Okay. This is all in the previous chapter. Today we have another chapter, which is chapter 7, and you know that the title, as usual, is very important. Here the title is Well Hunting. You know, this is an image and Charles Dickens used throughout the text many images, animal images. When, for example, he put or the narrator described Tom as a donkey one time, another time he described him as a monkey, and then he described him as a whelp here. And once again we have whelp hunting, and you know hunting, it means اصطياد, okay? And these are animal images. As with animal images also used by, for example, when the narrator described the smoke, you remember that the smoke from the chimney, just like serpents, and also the narrator described the steam engines, you know, steam engines, okay? الصوت مالتين والشورسيتي مالتين يعني العنف مالتين like a melancholy mad elephant، مثل يعني الفيلة المعتوهة، okay؟ الفيل لما يكون معتوه او لما he face something or some problem، okay؟ so معتوه يعني شنو؟ يقوم يدمر كل شيء، okay? And it runs quickly and madly, okay? So he described, the narrator describes the engine, اللي هي steam engines of the town, like a melancholy mad elephants. Once again, also the narrator describes Cocktown, the red bricks, which becomes black. You remember that when the narrator describes the Cocktown with red bricks, all the streets were red bricks, but those red bricks were suited with black. يعني شو نقول مسخمة with black, because because of the engine, because of the machines, or because of the factories. And the narrator described those bricks, red على black, just like a painted face of a savage. You have seen, for example, savages or savage people, or those red Indian people, when they colored or when they painted their face with something black, okay, with the color black, and they have, for example, red parts, for example, the lips, the eyes, the nose, etc. Okay, so here the red bricks of Cocktown is being described as a savage, the painted face of a savage or red Indian. Once again here, Thomas or Tom Gradwine is being described as a whelp, and you remember the whelp is an image of the dog, small dog, and first this image is given by Harthouse for Tom Gradwine, and later one chapter is devoted to the wealth, okay? And here, once again, in this chapter or in this book, then we have wealth hunting. In this chapter also, we have another example of failure. You know that before that, the first failure in the Grotty-Grind system or the philosophy of Mr. Grotty-Grind was the ruined life marriage of Louisa. And you remember that Louisa, when she frustrated by her marriage and disappointed by the situation in which she found herself, and she blamed her father for all what had happened to her. And as I told you, it is impossible to blame Mr. Grotty-Grind on that marriage, but she herself also can take a responsibility for her marriage because she wanted to satisfy her Tom, her brother Tom, okay? And you remember that. So here in this chapter or in this book, there is another example of failure of that system, the failure of Mr. Grotty-Grind philosophy. And this example is represented by another son or by Tom Grotty-Grind, okay? Before going forth, I'd like to, that this chapter is also sheds lights on the development or improvement of the character of Tom Grotty-Grind throughout the books. For example, in book 1, the Tom Grotty-Grind shows himself as a sick man of father's education system. And you remember that when he blamed the system, you remember when he was talking with Louisa, he told her that I am sick of that system. Okay, I am sick of that education. And he shows love only towards Louisa, shows his selfish nature when he manipulates Louisa into marrying Bounderby for his own good. Okay, these are three characteristics of the Tom Grotty-Grind in the first book. Once again, I'd like to repeat them. First, he shows himself as a rebellious, person, rebellious, يعني ثائر, ضد against the education system of his father. He shows his only love towards Louisa. Of course, this love is selfish love, and his selfishness shown when he encouraged Louisa to get married from Mr. Bounderby, of course, for the benefit of himself. This is in book 1. In book 2, Tom has become a disinterested, hypocritical young man. You remember that? In book 2, we have seen Tom has been employed in Bounderby's bank, okay, and he became mature for getting a job. So he became a disinterested person. He became a hypocritical young man after leaving home and living with Mr. Bounderby. And also he has become a gambler. You know gambler. Gambler means that okay, and he also cannot pay off all his debts. First, forcing his sister to sell all the jewelries. Okay, يعني كان يضغط على أخته to sell her jewelries and to give him money for covering his debts. And then, you know that in that book he robbed the bank and accusing an innocent man of Stephen Blackpool. This is in book 2. In book 3, now Thomas will be ruined by his crime. Ruined, destroyed by his crime. And then he has gone to hide himself in a circus until his father able to get him out of the country. He also will show a remorse. Show remorse. Remorse means remorse, just like a repent, tawbah, or I cannot say it in Arabic, okay, but I know it is in English. I know the meaning in English. Remorse, regretful, yes. متأسف, regretful, or feel sorry, yes, good. So he shows his remorse, okay, only during his exile. You will see in the last chapter or last two chapters, next two chapters, he will show his remorse only when he is leaving, or only when he is away from home, and then he will die lonely. Okay, you know, this is a kind of punishment. You know that at the end of this novel, good people are rewarding, and bad people will be punished. So I'd like you to focus. For example, you may face in the exam the improvement or development or the growth and the change in the personality of Thomas Bryant. You have to mention these 3 steps in the 3 chapters, in the 3 parts, 3 books of the novel. You may face in the exam like this. I don't know, but you may face, okay? Keep this in your mind. Another thing in this chapter, that, as I told you, that good people is rewarded, and bad people will be punished or are punishing. Okay, and this is what we call it. What do we call it? You remember? You remember? We talked about it. Who remembers? Who remembers that when people or good people are rewarded and bad people were punished or are punished, what do we call it?
I think one reaps what.
No, there is a term, okay, usually used in literature.
The spiritual values?
No. Poetic justice. You remember poetic justice?
Yes, exactly. It was at the end of Wuthering Heights.
Yes, poetic justice. It means, yes, right, exactly. At the end, you remember Catherine, the small Catherine, has been rewarded, and also Hareton also rewarded. And I told you that this is a kind of poetic justice, when people, okay, will be rewarded by the novelist or by the writer, and bad people punished also by the writer or by the novelist. Here, you will see that day after day, Sissy is being rewarded. Okay, in this chapter, you will see that Mr. Bryant thanks her for, and he told her that you are always, at the surface of my family and me, and you are always helping me and help my family. And you know that previous chapters and before, how she did help Mrs. Bryant, help Sissy, and then she after the crisis of Louisa, also Sissy helped her. Sissy helped Rachel. Now after we know that she helped Tom or Thomas to hide himself the others. Okay, and this shows the good side, okay, or the goodness of those people, simple people. You know that those people who are living in the circles, those people who are working in factories, or those people who are poor on not like those rich or masters. They have their hearts, and they have their emotions and fancy toward people. And we have examples: Rachel, Stephen, the old woman, Sissy. All those people are poor people, but they have kind hearts and emotions and fancy. This is what Charles Dickens wanted to say. This is what Charles Dickens wanted to promote. Promote. Yes, therapy. Yeah. ترقية. Okay, so once again I like to remind you with the purpose or with the real meaning of hard times. You remember that it was not for Charles Dickens, maybe even for us. Hard times was or is not the time of difficulty when, for example, a time of poverty, a time of jobless, a time of idleness, okay, a time of lacking, for example. No, this is not what Charles Dickens meant. What Charles Dickens meant was that when people were deprived from emotions, when people were deprived from the natural values or spiritual values, when those people were deprived from those, okay, so this is hard times, okay. I think this is enough as introduction for this chapter. Okay. Now I need you to give me a summary for this chapter. Who can give me a summary?
May I, sir?
Okay, Luma.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Summary chapter 73. Tom has mysteriously disappeared as Stephen gave his last instructions to Mr. Grant. Cece whispered something in Tom's ear, and he before anyone present at Stephen's rescue could do anything. Mr. Grant searches for his son, but cannot find him anywhere. And we tell her father that Tom will never dare to town.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
May I? May I, sir?
May I, sir?
Please, Sakina.
May I?
Sakina.
Yes, sir. In this chapter, Tom Gradgrind stands by the old hell shaft next to Bounderby and a little apart from his father and sister. Cece seeing him there and watching him take in the fact that his father has been called to Stephen's side. Leaves Rachel, steals up behind Tom and whisper something. The two confer briefly reply and Tom leaves the scenes without being seen. As he explained to Mr. Gradgrind, she had remembered where her father's old circus was at this time of year and had described Tom to flee there and ask Mr. Slurley
Okay.
to take him
Thank you. Thank you, Sakina. Ali Mahsen.
Yes, sir. In this chapter, we have two families went to help Tom. There is his family, Gradgrind and Louisa, and Mr. Celeries and Sissy. This is a noble goal, but depended on emotion. And Tom returned to the skirt.
Okay, thank you, Abdullah. Islam Aqil.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gradgrind was wondering about his son, Mr. Reed, disappearing, looking for him everywhere. When the Cece told him that she hiding him in the Mr. Celery circus, Cece and Louisa and Mr. Gradgrind traveled to the circus to see Tom. Cece and very happy and comfort when she saw her old family. They asked to see Tom. Mr. Celery told them that there is show where Cece's father used to perform. He will make Tom. When the Tom meet his family, he started blaming his father and his sister because his father was away all the time, and because of his back, and his sister because she doesn't give him money, and at the same time for the leave of the Mr. Hart house. Then he started crying, shocking his father.
Okay, thank you, Asra. You know that the chapter is started with the way of hunting. You know, hunting is اصطياد. Okay, يصطادون the whale, but the whale or Thomas or Tom is escaped. Okay, from the scenery, and this is his disappearance. You know that his disappearance is he is afraid of being discovered. Of course, he has been discovered, so he is afraid of to be arrested and to face the justice. This is number one. Number two, Mr. Gradgrind worries or distress. You know that when he couldn't find his son, he has been distressed, he has been worried, okay, by that disappearance, and he has been suspected that what has been done or the person was responsible for robbery, the person who is responsible for the theft is his son Tom Gradgrind. So he locked himself inside the home. He did not eat, did not drink for one day, and then next day he opened the door and spoke to his daughter Louisa. What did Louisa told him? Sorry, what did Louisa tell him? Sorry, what did she tell him? Yes, Mr. Taher? Yes, please, Mr. Taher, do you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sorry. She told him that. Just a minute. Yeah, she tries to cheer him up by saying that he still has 4 other kids left that will hopefully not be all screwed up. So she means that I'm here. Tom are a bad person, but me and the other children, your children, are here. So she tries to cheer him up.
Okay, thank you, Rasul Zahra Abdul Karim.
Yes, sir. She tells Gradgrind that she's trying to save Tom from person. She hitting him with Mr. Salary at the circus until he can.
No, actually, this is not what has been taught by Louisa. Louisa, you know that also has been suspected of that robbery. He has been suspected of her.
Yes, sir. Louisa tries to cheer him up by saying that he still has 4 other kids left that will hopefully not be all squared up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that Sisi, when Mr. Gradgrind asks Sisi tells that she was trying to save Tom from person, and she's hitting him with Mr. Salary at the circus until he can.
Yes, you know that the fact that his son committed a robbery, committed a theft, is and also accusing another man is unbearable for Mr. Gradgrind. Mr. Gradgrind unable to receive another shock. You know, the first shock has been with Louisa and his failure in her marriage life, and then another failure, another shock for his personality, another shock for his system is with his son Tom, the failure to protect him. Okay, now you know that Mr. Grind's desperate and he desires to protect Tom. What do you think? Who protects Tom? Who protects Tom? Ahmed Ali Ghali?
Yes, I think Sisi and the people of circus.
Okay. Yes, Hussein?
Yes, we know that when Mr. Gradgrind was suspicious about his brother his son, the responsible for the robbery of the bank, he asked his daughter, do you think we had planned this robbery when he went with you to the lodging? She says yes. I felt so, father. I know that he wanted money very much, but after that, after when he was suspicious about his robbery of the bank, Sisi whispered in his ear to go away from this town to the Liverpool,
Yes.
where the circus. So I think mainly or basically Sisi and her father, Siri, and the family of Siri, we know that there was Joseph
Okay.
and Kidder Minister of the
Yes. Thank you so much.
officer for
Thank you so much.
protecting from to be arrested by the justice.
Okay. If we compare between utilitarianism, materialism, and the circus, this point, considering Tom, or considering the family of Brother White, if we compare between these two systems, or between these two sides of utilitarianism, side of money, side of richness, and the side is the circus.
Yes, I can, sir.
Zahra Haider, excuse me, Zahra Haider.
Yes. First of all, Sisi hidden Tom in salary cell. So here we have another image that these people who Mr. Gradgrind mocked of them in the previous chapters. Okay, these people who saved Mr. Gradgrind and his child.
Okay, thank you, Ya Zahra. Let's see other students. مثلا maybe they are sleeping or leaving.
May I, sir?
Okay, who are you? Baqir, yes, Baqir. Sorry?
No, Muhammad Ali Adi, sir.
Okay, Muhammad Ali Adi.
Yes, I think Sisi will tell the people in circus to help Tom.
Okay. Yes, who else? Zainab Hashim.
Yes, sir. I think when Gradgrind do good thing for Sisi when he take care of her after her father left her, so the people in the circus want to do something good for him, just as a reward. So they help him to hide Tom.
Okay. Hamza Mahsin, where are you? Hamza Mahsin, you were excellent. Hamza? Okay. Fatma Khalil. Yes, Fatma Khalil.
No, Ali Abdullah. Sorry.
No, Fatma Khalil. I'm calling Fatma Khalil.
Okay.
Are you there, ya Fatma? Okay, it seems that she is cooking or something like that.
May I, sir?
Okay. Ali Abdullah.
Yes, thank you, sir. I think there's two persons or two groups that help Tom. The first one, Sisi, telling with the circus, and the leader of the circus, because Mr. Gradgrind helped Sisi when his father left. He returned the favor to him by protect Tom, but asked him to make his promise to change his view of the circus, because, and I think this is an important point, and
okay, thank
this
you.
is
Shahad Abdul Khaliq.
Yes, sir. Well, we help Tom to cover his identity and make the others, it doesn't recognize him as Tom, someone else. The identity disguise didn't for long because once Mr. Ryan saw him, he discovered him as Tom. He and his daughter.
Okay.
Yes,
If
sir.
we compare, you know that we don't have time. Okay, if we compare between two sides, I mean the side of utilitarianism, the side of money, and the side of circus. Okay, these are two sides. You will find that utilitarianism or the philosophy of Mr. Groddy-Ryan failed to protect Tom. It failed to protect Tom. Who protects them? Who protects him? Who protects Tom? The circus protects.
The simple people, the local
people. Once again, the simple people is, is a triumph in Tusraw. And another badge, badge, يعني just like مثل وسام. Okay, another badge Sisi received, okay, by Groddy-Ryan or by the reader or by the writer. Badge, another Wissam, okay, Wissam Nasr or whatever you like.
Yes.
Sisi is received, and the four people is received or are received by Mr. Groddy-Ryan and by the reader or by the novelist, okay? Why? Because once again, they are ready to help others. You know that Mr. Bounderby, because he is a master, he did not help anyone. He did not help Stephen. You remember when Stephen, as a poor man, when Stephen came to him to have a solution for his life, to have a solution with his wife, okay? He refused to help him. And then later he accused him of robbery. And he discontent, Mr. Bounderby as a master discontent the workers, the poor people, okay? Because he thought that the poor people or the worker were responsible for the robbery, was responsible for the theft of his bank. So he discontent them. Discontent means okay? Here with the circus people, the simple people, we find the opposite image. Those people, those poor people, they are ready to help others. They are ready to help Mr. Groddy-Ryan, they are ready to help Tom, okay? And this is, vice versa. This is an opposite. This is a paradoxical picture of those people, or the act of the masters, the act of the rich people. So, if we compare between two sides, we will find that people in the circus, poor people, got another reward, got another victory upon the master people. Okay.
May I say something?
Okay, Ahmed.
That we see in this chapter that Tom, even though Tom confesses to his failure, but blame everyone around him. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask, which character that we consider Tom, and which character شلون نقول استقراطي أو
Tom?
من أي يعني?
You mean how to categorize Tom? Is it from aristocratic people? Is it from
and Sisi
high level people or not?
يعني من أي صنف يعني نصنف توم إلى أي صنف؟ هو
Yes.
Can I answer for Ahmed, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
From the previous chapters, I think Yusuf classified him with the utilitarian, sorry, the word is very difficult for me, utilitarian person, I think that.
Okay, yes, what else?
May I add something?
Okay, Hawra.
In this chapter, I think Charles Dickens wanted to say that those people, the same people, I mean, Sisi and her family in the circus.
I'd like to answer the question raised by Ahmed.
Oh, sorry, I want to add something another. Sorry for that.
Yes, Shahad, do you have something to say for Ahmed?
Sir,
Okay. Sorry?
Can you repeat the question by Ahmed?
The question is that how could we categorize Tom? I mean, whether or Ahmed means that whether Tom belongs to the high people or low people. How could we categorize him? احنا نصنفه تحت أي مسمى. Aristocratic people or those people, high people or poor people or what? Yes, Nabila.
I think, sir, we can classify Tom in two parts. First part, his characters is belong to the high class, we mean utilitarianism, categories like Bounderby, other character, Gradgrind. But in manner, he's very low, like Bounderby. He until the last of it, when people has discovered what he did, he just blamed them and not admitted the truth and start to blame Louisa. Even though Louisa said everything for him and helped him every time. So he's low in manner, selfish, and he really like a puppy. Need everyone to interest, need to be.
Okay, thank you, Naba. Thank you so much, yes, Hassan. But briefly, Hassan.
Yes, we know that in appearance, okay, in external side, we see that Tom is aristocrat, is nobleman, because he is from the upper class. But his behaviors were not belong to this class. He robbed the bank. He left the town into the circus. He worked as a clown in the circus, and also was astonished. Gradgrind was astonished when he saw his son in this shape or in this reality. So his behavior belongs to the lower class, this class.
Yes.
And
you're all right.
We suppose
Thank
he
you.
is across.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Hassan. You are right. Okay, all of you are right. You know that Tom belongs to the high people. He belongs to the utilitarian philosophy. He belongs to the Gradgrind education. So we cannot classify him as a poor or as a simple people. No, he can be classified with the high people, with the high people or the high class people. Okay. If you open your books on page 223, 223. Have you seen it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. When Mr. Gradgrind met his son at the circus, okay? You know that he is hiding him with the circus, and even the Mr. Slurry and other people in the circus, they forced him or they gave him roles in their show, okay? أدوار بمن بالعروض. So when Mr. Gradgrind came, he has been shocked another time, or once again, because he has seen his son as part of that, okay, of the circus, or a ridiculous thought, as he thought, okay? So he questioned him at the top of the page. How was this done? Asked the father. Have you seen it? At the top of the page?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How was this done? How was this done? How يعني شلون صار هذا? Sorry, how was this done? This, it means that the robbery done, okay, the stolen, not the theft. How was that? How was what done? Answered the son. This robbery, said the father, I forced the safe myself overnight and shut it up ajar before I went away. I had the key that was found you know that he has been duplicated. Duplicated, it means copy. He has been copied a key, and with the key, with the help of the key, he has been stolen, or he has been stolen the
open the safe
from the bank. Okay. So little further. I don't see why. When his father asked him that, why you did it, he said that I don't see why. Have you seen it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So many people, please underline these lines. So many people are employed in situations of trust. So many people out of so many will be dishonest. Can you explain these 2 or 3 lines? 2 lines? Again, I will repeat it. I don't see why. So many people are employed in situations of trust. So many people. Out of so many will be dishonest. Could you explain these 2 lines?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, Hussein, but briefly, please.
He means that when some people or so many people, they are given trust for money, for bank, for something like that, so they will be dishonest. They will do some things that maybe they see it is okay. It is no problem.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Hussein. Okay. Good, Hussein. Ali.
We know. Yes.
Yes, that's said by Tom. I think that.
Yes.
Yes, I think Tom here believed that and blamed everyone around him, as I said before. Everyone will do that if he's stuck in a problem. As I said, I think he want to say that.
Okay, Neba Adil. Thank you, Ahmed. Neba Adil.
So I think Tom trying to justify himself to his father by saying that many people just committed a crime as he, if they in his position.
Yes, right. If he thinks that, you know that عندنا بالproverb or something like that, يعني نقول الحرامي يشوف كل الناس حرامية، مو تمام؟ And
yes, sir.
you know that if you want to test people, you put them in this situation, just like Tom. Tom proved failure. Why? Because you know that he is saying for his father that so many people like me, and I am one of them, okay, who put in this situation, who put in that place or position of a trust. So they will betray that position. They will betray that place, okay? So he is saying that to his father that the situation of trust, so many people will be acted in a dishonest act. طلاب عندكم محاضرة بعد وراء المحاضرة لو؟ Okay, I don't like to take too much time. So please, these 4 lines يعني تكملوها. I have heard you talk 100 times of it's being low. How can I help laws? These are very important. I want you to explain it next time. Okay? Thank you so much for your listening, and next time you will have also, maybe we will take 2 chapters. Yes, 2 chapters, the end, the final 2 chapters. Okay. Thank you so much for your listening, and I'm so sorry to take your time. Okay. See you then.
السلام عليكم أستاذ. بس قبل ما تيجي المحاضرة أستاذ
you are free to leave, students. You are free to leave. Yes.
أستاذ بخصوص الفاينل يعني إذا أمكن يعني شوية المادة تتقلص.
لا.
لأنه فحسنا يعني المادة كلش
Listen. This is prescribed by the Ministry of Higher Education. This is not from my pocket. يعني هاي مو جيبي أنا.
بس هو حتى البكالوريا جاي يقللون المادة.
These 2 texts are prescribed by the Ministry of the Higher Education. This is
إيه بس
not
ثالثة
my
يعني
bucket.
ما يعني كل المادة راح مثلا.
You know that before we had a free text. Now this is good for you. 2 text only. يعني قبلكم الطلاب ترى درسوا free text. You know.
بس أستاذ يعني هو أصلا يعني المادة هواية الصراحة ويعني هاي التجربة إحنا تاركيها صار لنا سنتين فليش مثلا نضيع وقتنا نقرأ مادة كلش ضخمة وبالنتيجة راح يجي هو.
This is I told you this is not from my bucket. يعني مو أنا مثلكم حالي من حالكم أنا.
بس يعني كم فصل مثلا
إذا أترك راح أحاسب. أنا ما أقدر أترك ما أقدر أن.
دكتور عفوا يعني مداخلة. احنا يعني ماخذيها للروايه كلها ودنا 3 كتب همين اخذناها راح ان شاء الله نكملهن بس على الاقل يعني مثلا الروايه الاولى مثلا نقدر نقلل من عندها او الكتب الثلاثه الاخيرات نقدر نقلل من عندها لان اوريدي يعني احنا مثلا ماخذين وشارحين وفاهمين كل الروايه.
No at all.
دكتور
Please don't negotiate.
يعني احنا اساسا دارسين وماخذين وشارحين عليهن واسئله وشرح.
What is the problem?
يعني هي المادة كلش هواية دكتور.
No. Okay. Anything else?
أستاذ المشكلة
Yes. تفضل يا ستي.
أستاذ العفو أستاذ حتى هسه بالجدول يعني عندنا أقصى شيء يومين. صح احنا عندنا اسبوع عندنا دراما عندنا روايه عندنا قراءات عندنا جرامر هذا حضوري يعني اسبوعين حتى بدون الامتحانات عندنا اكثر ماده الا يوم يعني خلال يومين صح راجعنا بالفتره راح راجعها فتره المراجعه بس ما راح نكمل يعني هاي الروايه طويله روايه وذرنت هايت بالاضافه انه
يعني ما اعرف كلامي واضح او غير واضح. لكم running 2 texts. This is not from my pocket. Okay. These 2 texts they are not from my pocket. They are prescribed and described by the Ministry of Higher Education. And if إذا عوفها راح أحاسب. Okay. So it is impossible to cancel even a chapter from these 2 texts.
أستاذ إذا أمكن من وقتك ما تكلمنا عن الثيم of humanism ما أشرنا إليه.
Humanism?
Yes.
Okay, good to remind me. Maybe the next chapter during the next 2 lectures or 2 days.
سعد نقدر نعتبر إنه هاي مساعدة أصحاب السيركس إنه هو نوع من الهيومانيزم أو هم منظمة يعني.
Look, you have to search about the humanism. Yes, you have different versions of humanism. يعني مثلا education, it is a kind of humanism.
النقابات.
Science is a kind of humanism. Reading books is a kind of humanism. حتى الماركسيزم it is kind of humanism. حتى الكابيتاليزم it's kind of humanism. Okay. Since كل term be humanism, it means that it is for the benefit of a humanity. يعني الماركسية لما اجت شنو for the benefit of the people, although it has mistakes but still. حتى by the way you know that حتى هسه احنا يعني داعش as they think, okay, they are part of humanism. Okay, why? Because they have a system. Okay, they wanted as they thought they wanted to help the people, لكن helping them in the wrong way. تعال رجع 1500 سنة 2000 سنة لورا. Okay, وعايشة بذاك الزمان. This is impossible. So what I wanted to say that عندهم مشروع humanism. ماركسيزم اكو مشروع مالي humanism. الكابيتاليزم عندهم مشروع مالي humanism. Okay? So humanism does not mean that only restricted term. Okay? I hope that you search about the humanism and we will talk about it.
استاذ انا وجدتها كمنظمه هي يعني حال الماركسيزم مثل ما قلت.
لا مو منظمه. It is not an organization. No. It is not an organization.
فاذا امكن ولو يعني ببصمات
هي مشروع او مشروع. اوكي. هيومانيزم هو مشروع.
يقصد منظمه.
اي واحد هسه انت تقدر تسوي لك مشروع مال هيومانيزم. اوكي. For example.
نعم.
Teaching students هو مشروع هيومانيزم انت. You are helping humanity.
استاذ انا اقدر روايه يعني مع
حتى some of political leaders, some political parties. اوكي هسه احنا حتى لسه احزابنا الشيوعية. اوكي يعني although the guising okay or they go to the benefits مثل داعش هم مشروعهم معلن بانه يريدون يساعدون الناس، صح ولا لا؟ هسه اي مشروع حتى هسه الانتخابات اللي قاعد تيجي
الى تحرير العراق وقالت احنا محررون بعدين صاروا مهدد.
Yes. يعني currently it is a kind of humanism. هسه هاي
ويرفع شعار الهيومانيزم بعدين
اوكي. So it is not an organization, but it is an idea or مشروع أو something.
يعني شيء داخل بالماركسيزم واليوليتاريانزم والماتيرياليزم متداخلين يعني هدفهم نقول
يعني مثلا عندنا مشروع هيومانيزم بالبرينتنج ماشين في القرن الثامن عشر أو التاسع عشر لما صارت الثورة الصناعية والناس بدأت تقرأ بدأت تطلع. اوكي هذاك ايضا مشروع انساني يعني reading books education ومشروع انساني هذا هم هيومانيزم.
اضيف انه اشارة باوندربي الى انه قال احنا جاي نعطيهم افضل مرتب، وهذا اعتقد اشارة